My name is Sarah, a 35-year-old. I am a housewife. Recently, my father passed away, and I inherited his house and land. It's the home of memories where I lived alone with him after my mother passed away when I was young. Since I got married and moved out at 23, my father had been living there alone, but I wonder if he felt lonely. My father, still young, has now gone to join my mother. My husband Mike and I have been discussing what to do with the land and house we inherited from my father. What should we do? It's going to be vacant now. Yay. But even if we say we'll live there. Right, it's pretty old. We currently live in a small apartment with one child, just the three of us. Having only one child is still manageable, but the place is indeed cramped. We had talked about moving to a larger place when more children come along, but we haven't had another yet. The house my father left is old, but it's in a prime location. Honestly, while it was good to inherit the estate, I paid quite a bit in inheritance tax, and if we leave it as is, property taxes will continue to accrue. At least if we live there, we can save on the rent we're paying for this apartment. Yay. The location would shorten my commute to work, so there are benefits if you think about it. Then, should we renovate the interior and move to that house? So, we've had quite a long discussion about my father's land and house. But we haven't come to a clear decision yet. Even if we say we'll rebuild right away, it will cost a significant amount of money. So, it's hard for us to make such a decision immediately. However, it's an issue that we need to address someday. But we still haven't come up with an answer, and for the time being, we've just let the days go by, thinking we'll think about it again tomorrow. Then, one day, my sister-in-law and my in-laws suddenly came over to our house. Sarah, can we talk for a moment? Yes. In the middle of the day, all three of them stormed into the room, seemingly in a frenzy. What's the matter? While I served tea, the three of them were loudly excited about something. It was my mother-in-law who started the conversation. You know, the land and the house your father left, why don't we demolish it and build a new house, she said. Pardon. It's a waste to leave that house as it is. Let's build a multi-family home on that land, you and Mike, us. And your sister-in-law could live there, she suddenly proposed. I said, well, it's not that simple, but she didn't listen and said, no, we've already gotten quotes from demolition and construction companies. We've already decided on the contractors, it's all up to your agreement now. It's outrageous for them to suddenly come and announce decisions they made on their own. By the way, my sister-in-law is over 40, still single. She's supposedly working, but she's still living with her parents and seems to be relying on them quite a bit. My sister-in-law is a bit odd, always nagging me, saying things like, Sarah, you should work too, staying at home makes you dull, and if only there was a money tree somewhere. I wish I could win the lottery. She's not at all on the same wavelength as me. And these in-laws, too. Whenever I go to their house, they're always bluntly saying things like, when's the second child coming? Or isn't Mike's lack of career advancement due to poor support from you? I'm not fond of either of them. To begin with, the thought of living in a multi-family home with these people I don't get along with is horrifying. I firmly said, no, it's impossible to build a house there, but then my in-laws interrupted, saying, why not? You're not planning to leave it like that forever, are you? And my sister-in-law added, exactly, it's such a waste. If left as it is, the yard will just get overrun with weeds. And the house will keep deteriorating. Well, that's true, but the home where my in-laws and sister-in-law live together is in a rural area far from town, inconveniently requiring a bus to reach the nearest station. It would be a dream come true for them to live in the area where my father's house is located. Moreover, since they are talking about rebuilding, they must be envisioning a brand new house, an ideal scenario for them. But that's if it ever happens. So, Sarah, we've actually arranged for the demolition company already, they said. What? You just said you had decided on the company. Yes, that's why we've actually started the demolition process. Wait a minute, please. I was flabbergasted by the aggressive way they were proceeding, making decisions about the demolition without considering me, the rightful owner of the land and house. Please stop, I insisted, but they tried to counter my objection. If we leave it up to you, nothing will ever get done. You probably just want to preserve the house because of your memories, but even if the house remains, the deceased won't return. My father-in-law said, "That's right, don't worry about the demolition cost, I'll take care of it. We'll get a quote from the builder and start construction immediately." It was clear they were intent on building and living there. "You and Mike can't keep living in this small rented apartment forever. You'll need to own a home someday," they said, not listening to my concerns. Feeling helpless, I replied, "Well, Mike and I were actually discussing renovating the interior of that house and living there." Then my in-laws retorted, "Just you two? Wow, that's pretty heartless. Aren't you considering us at all? Why are you only thinking about yourselves? As of now, Sarah, we're the only parents you have," they said, imposing their views on me. And they went on, "If we're doing it, why not make it a 3, or even 4 or 5-story building? Maybe add an elevator too." An elevator? That sounds fancy, kind of upscale. Yeah, these days adding an elevator isn't that expensive. They were getting carried away. I decided enough was enough and said, "Please leave for today," making them leave. My in-laws left, almost defiantly saying, "Anyway, we will definitely carry out this plan." Goodness. Such audacious people. Not knowing anything. Well, the multi-family home plan won't materialize anyway, so let them dream a little for now. That night, when Mike returned, I told him about what his sister and parents had said during their visit. He just sighed, "Well, that's my family for you, always forceful." But now that I knew they were targeting my father's land and house, I started to think we might have to consider selling it or something. Mike laughed it off, saying, "Well, for now, just take it as a joke that they'll demolish it." But still feeling uneasy, the next day I took the memorial tablets of my father and mother from my old home to create a small altar in the living room. Then, a few days later, my mother-in-law suddenly called, "Hello, Sarah, we need to proceed with the building destruction registration urgently. So I've arranged for a judicial scrivener to come over. Please handle the preparations." "What are you talking about?" "Today at 3 p.m., counting on you." "By building destruction, do you mean you've demolished my childhood home?" "Oh, what are you talking about? We said we were going to do it," and with that, she just hung up. It seems my mother-in-law was serious about demolishing my father's house. What have they done? I was trembling with anger and disbelief at this audacious act. It's hard to believe someone would just demolish another person's house. But I decided to go and see for myself. And there it was, my father's land, now just an empty lot. What happened to all the personal items? This is just too awful. Tears involuntarily started to flow. Memories with my father and mother, all destroyed arbitrarily by others. Such foolishness to demolish it. They'd better regret this. In the afternoon, a judicial scrivener came to my apartment to finalize the registration changes for the land. The judicial scrivener asked, "So, what are you planning to do with it now? Turn it into a parking lot?" I replied, "Yes, that's one option. Use the income to pay the property tax or maybe consider selling it." "Understood. If that's the case, please consult us again." "Sure, I will." Did my mother-in-law just arrange this without discussing it with the judicial scrivener? It seems she only heard the part about needing to change the property registration from the demolition company and arranged it accordingly. It's just baffling from start to finish. A few days later, the whole family came over again. This time, they wanted to discuss their dream multi-family home concept. You must be relieved, right? Dwelling on memories won't do you any good. Humans need to move forward. That's right. It's because we took action that a future has opened up. You'll thank us someday. They puffed up with pride. Then my father-in-law spoke gravely, as if he were the pillar of the family. about the construction of the new house. We want to have the builder draft the plans and get a quote. But how much can you guys contribute? After all, we paid for all the demolition costs, he said, trying to guilt trip us. We don't have any extra money, I responded. What are you talking about? Didn't your father leave you some inheritance? He said, audaciously. That's why I told you, after paying the inheritance tax, we're barely managing. We can't even dip into our savings to pay the property tax, I replied. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law started making a fuss. Come on, let's get the ball rolling. You're such a dawdler. That's right, Sarah, you're always like this. If it were up to you, that place would have been left untouched for years. Such a waste, they said, blaming me even though they were the ones who demolished the house. I'm not dawdling at all. It's these people who suddenly started fantasizing about building a new property on my father's land, assuming cohabitation. My father-in-law kept talking about money. Anyway, it costs money just to have the builder draft the plans, so we need to decide what kind of house we want. The land isn't that large, so we need a skilled builder to make the most of it, he boasted. I said, drafting plans shouldn't cost that much, since you went ahead with the demolition. Feel free to proceed with that too. I never agreed to any of this in the first place. That night, I reviewed the documents prepared by the judicial scrivener again. There it was, clearly stated that the land was non-rebuildable. I sighed with relief. The next day, I decided to consult a real estate agent about selling the land or utilizing it as a parking lot. I wondered if the family, not knowing that they couldn't build on that land, was panicking after arranging for the builder. Sure enough, an angry call came from my mother-in-law. Sarah, did you know we can't build a house on that land? And kept quiet. What have you done? She raged. No, I knew about it. That's why I told you it was impossible to build a house, I said. You didn't communicate it well. What are you planning to do? Come to the site right now, she demanded. Resignedly, I headed to the site. There, 2 or 3 builders and the whole family were fussing around. When I arrived, one of the builders noticed and asked, "Are you the landowner here?" "Yay, it's a problem, isn't it? The house is demolished. There's nothing we can do now," he said, looking troubled. "That's true," I replied calmly. The builder explained, glancing at everyone, "If the old house was still here, we could have considered remodeling or even renovating it. Really upgrading it with the latest facilities, but now that it's just an empty lot, there's nothing we can do." The family, not satisfied, started questioning why can't something be done. Especially my sister-in-law, who seemed to think that negotiation could solve anything. The builder said, "No, this is determined by law." Hearing the word law, the family realized the gravity of what they had done, and froze. "The owner was aware, right?" he asked. I responded, "Yes, that's why I objected. I never imagined you would go ahead with the demolition." The builder then said, "It's a shame, such a good location for the land to only become a parking lot. What a loss. For instance, if the original house was still there, even if it was old, it had a decent layout. It could have been remodeled into a dormitory and rented out. Even if not lived in, it could have paid for itself within a year." "That's true," I agreed. The in-laws' faces turned beet red. "What are we going to do, Mom?" "I don't know, just be quiet." They started arguing amongst themselves. Apparently, the in-laws had already put their own house on the market, hoping to raise funds for the construction by selling it. How can they rush into their own fanciful delusions like this? It's beyond me. I never agreed to live together or to build a multi-family home. The builder left, looking sympathetic, saying, "Well then, we'll leave it here." Afterward, if only they hadn't meddled in necessarily, the in-laws' house, being too rural and old, got sold for a song, leaving them with just a small amount of cash in hand. Now, they've moved into a rental apartment, constantly blaming each other. "It's all your fault. It's because you're incompetent, and you should have married a rich man by now." Their fights are never ending. As for me, I turned the land I inherited from my father into a parking lot as planned. Days no profit, but at least I'm breaking even on the property tax. I'm truly relieved to have distanced myself from the in-laws. But thinking about it now, if we had gone through with building and living in that multi-family house on that land, it sends shivers down my spine. Life would have been an absolute nightmare. I am genuinely grateful to my Father in heaven for sparing me from that. I will continue to live, paying respects to my father and mother every day.